We've got our first upper bracket semifinal. Moving to best of sevens here, folks. Got to win 4 games to make top 3 of the Spring Invitational.
Well, there's not a whole lot on the line here, Daz. Only 5 very, very, very valuable points and the ability to climb up the leaderboard and try to cement your spot at the Boston Major. No pressure, right?
Wrong. Game starting, FURIA, G2 Esports. This is a race to the major. Again, even for some situations, maybe even World Championship, things risked here between these two titans. But all that matters is what's in front of them, game by game, second by second, as they try to get the advantage here and make this probably one of the best tournaments for the season for either squad. It really depends on how they both show up.
FURIA trying to win a best of 7 for the first time this season as Jan's shot deflected away by Chicago. Now lost. Started the season in South America. They brought him in, try and elevate this squad to get them to not just majors, but to the World Championship in Dusseldorf. As Lost will have that go right down to Chicago, and he's not going to be able to continue that play, but maybe JNAPS can. Lob to the backboard, nobody on the weak side, so Lost will have it. And G2 will at least try to keep the pressure on here with Atomic, bringing in Central. Chicago there, and it's too strong for him. So FURIA get another lifeline here as they try to work out of the zone.
G2 already, though, trying to get those pass plays, good connections from them, or at least attempts. They have the speed right now and the start ahead of FURIA, but in terms of that offensive front, just seeing a little bit more passing, a little bit more of that G2 style of play could make the difference here. That being said, FURIA, they've got to start controlling the space a little bit more. It just feels like G2 have had the ball for the first minute and a half.
G2 have had a lot of possession. Here goes Atomic again. Just float one to the backboard, try and generate some rebound opportunities here and let FURIA beat themselves. It's Lost, giving it away to Chicago. And Card will have to try and take this all by himself, and there's a pair of G2 defenders just waiting for him. It just seems like every time FURIA gets to the center line, somebody, at least one, is there to rudely greet them and bring the ball right back into the blue half. This time it'll be Chicago from the back line with Atomic to his left. That's a good win, though, on the offensive end for FURIA. Lost now with Jan forward still, and that's deflected out to the corner, and just so happens that JNAPS is over there. Here comes G2 in transition, and the save by Jan.
Couple of demos coming out here. G2 still looking for some space up in front. FURIA have been doing a good job being able to reach the ball, but even then, sometimes little slips come through, like the one you saw just there. JNAPS gets that beat, and the defense isn't ready, then the ball's going in the back of the net. So far, first half as it's gone by, we are scoreless, but both teams tied up in shots 2 for 2.
Card will flip one to the backboard, and there's Atomic again, down to JNAPS, and this will go wayward. Lost and Jan getting on the same page. Jan stays home, and he could go to the ceiling of the net to make that save. And now Atomic with the boost steal out of the corner, but it's Chicago's shot that gives G2 the lead.
With that G2 pressure, it was only a matter of time. Love this initial pop here from JNAPS, and then the follow-up, the light touch there to Chicago, who's so quick, puts it in the perfect spot. Yan can't react in time. G2 pressure pays off as they kick this game off at 1-0.
G2 comes in trailing FURIA by just 2 points. This would be hugely significant for them. A win still only guarantees that they would be behind FaZe and Gen G, who both have a guaranteed 37 points. G2 would be sitting there on 36 as they take a 2-0 lead. It's JNAPS, and it's great to see him going.
Yeah, this is a little interesting, though. There's a bit of a disruption there. Card, oh, he just couldn't read that bounce in time, got stuck in no man's land off the initial pass from Chicago. G2 pressure, like you said, JNAPS being able to get on the board. That's his first goal out of 3 shots. And spreading the wealth here, as both goals have been assisted on the side of G2.
Shot on here, easily sent away by Yan. It's a 3rd save for him. Now Card up the ladder with Chicago. Had to play that to his own backboard where Atomic could get to it. That's good defending, but that was not. Lost with the fake, and then the shot sent away by Chicago again. Chicago's defense on point yet again. for G2 here, as Lost will stop this before the center line. Jan forward towards the net, but Atomic's there. G2 at least holding the line for now with a 2-goal lead, trying to shut out FURIA and send a message in game 1.
Talking about Chicago, his field awareness has been phenomenal this game, offensively and defensively. That ball got away from him, but he still bought a little bit of time. No, Lost will get there. JNaps couldn't recover. FURIA make this a 1-goal game in the final minute.
This had to be as powerful as possible. Lost still put it in a spot where JNaps could get to it, but not close enough that he could save it. FURIA get 1 on the board. They've still got just under a minute to go here to tie up the game. The kickoff goes right to Chicago, who just seems to have had a magnet for the ball here. Now Lost, looking for more. Flip, reset, and swatted away by Naps. Jan actually got away from JNaps, though. He was going for contact, and then the bump, and Card ties it.
Oh, I love this set play. I mean, Yan takes his time, that misdirection. Card wants to get involved, just has to outspeed Chicago. Gets there in perfect time, perfect shot to the top left corner. FURIA strike late and get on a 2-goal run.
First half of this game dominated by G2. Second half of this game, really the last minute and a half, has been all FURIA. Just a matter of time before they finally broke the seal. Now Lost will carry one across. Jan will send it downfield. He can follow this up himself. Drop down towards Card, and it's boxed out and sent further downfield. Chicago now tracking, making sure Card plays this securely, which he does. Now down to 12 seconds. Overtime looming as G2 have let a 2-0 lead disappear. Can they steal it back? No, he lost with the save. Now JNaps, indirect, nobody home, and Jan will clear it out. We've got overtime if this ball can get down to the ground, which it will.
You got to give credit there to FURIA. Again, that strike back towards the end. 2 back-to-back goals. Within the offensive front, they get a little space in that box. They will stretch G2 thin. You saw G2 towards the end of the regulation start to go for a couple of offensive plays. I mean, I believe that Atomic downfield, he had a pass set up. And even though they had the space, FURIA's defense was set. Whoever wins this overtime is going to earn it.
JNaps has been trying to get a couple of demos coming out of the zone, or at least bumps. And the last couple tries, he's been unsuccessful as he makes that save, falling back to his back line. Now it's Chicago downfield. Lost will take a boost, and he doesn't power this away. Plays it close to the vest instead. Jan avoids contact again, and a race to the corner. Jan will steal the boost. It pops out to Card for the win. Off the crossbar and away. And now it's only Lost against JNaps. And Lost got a touch and put it in his own net. Oh, it's disaster for FURIA.
No way. Lost went up. He had 18 boosts. And he ran out. He was floating after JNaps had that flip reset. And yeah, it does go off of his Finnick. G2 is going to take game 1. They had a little bit of help there. Disaster on the side of FURIA. That is not how you want to start this series off.
Well, Jorby dropping to his knees, watching that one. It's a best of 7. It's a long, long road here, but that is a tough first pill to swallow here as we look back at the Mobile One High Performance replay. G2 got it started very early on. They had the 2-goal lead, but then Jan getting the play started for Card to tie it up. And then shield your eyes, FURIA fans, the own goal set up by JNaps to give G2 the dub in game 1. Again, 1 down, 3 to go. So much on the line here, Daz, with teams all over the standings. Everybody in North America got their eyes firmly on this one to see just how much more work that they've got to do to stay ahead of FURIA and G2.
Yeah, FURIA have already shaken that game off. I'm pretty sure you have to stay locked in at this point. But regardless of that, again, it's a game-by-game thing. Dropping that one, it just gives G2. Now they just need 3 more. For FURIA, we've seen them have that strength in offense. Again, 2 goals within 15 seconds of each other is definitely very impressive. Late in the game 1 as well, where G2 have a comfortable 2-goal lead. We know FURIA have the ability to be able to strike here against G2 Esports. But if they're not completely locked in, if somebody jumps up and they have just 2 little boosts, you've seen G2 take full advantage of that. Game 2 on the screen. Let's see if we have any adaptations.
That's Yan with Card running forward to the right. Not quite there now. Yan for loss, trying to make up for it, and he does. He scores to give FURIA the lead.
Making up for that one quick. You gotta love this pass out. Yan says thank you, plays it past the defense. Lost is up quickly, but also make sure his shot's on target.
Maybe the biggest adjustment here, Daz, for this FURIA team is the transition from Yan, the hard carry, to Yan, the facilitator. Everybody kind of looks at him to be the guy that's scoring everything, kind of like the way people look at First Killer on FaZe, but he has been, I think it's been kind of a maturation of his game where he's not forcing it. He's not trying to do too much. He's trying to get his teammates involved because he realizes as the team goes, everything goes a lot easier, and it's finally working out now for FURIA.
Right, and you're seeing the success of that. You're also seeing the confidence from FURIA as they ramp things up here. This time, they're controlling the possession here in the opening minute. You think back to game one, it was on the side of G2 mainly. Now we got two demos, and yeah, we'll have a free ball here to work with. What's he gonna do with it? Instead, try to see if he can take control. Good on JNaps right off the respawn to be able to deny that ability.
Lost looking for a corner boost that was not there, so Yan's gonna come in and save the day. Now that boost spawns, and Lost still couldn't really go for it, just in case. G2 got a quick shot on, so now it's Lost right at Chicago and through him. Yan's up the ladder now. He can play this hard to the corner, and nobody else is Central, but Yan still takes this, and it sails high and wide, harmlessly across the goal. So now it's Atomic with JNaps coming up. He gets obliterated, and Chicago's got to play it away just ahead of Yan. The game within the game here is Yan looking at JNaps. That's on the backboard, and Card could not bring it to a scoring position.
On the side of G2, things have not been looking too structured here, at least in that last play or so. They're trying to kind of get things together. It's been a very crazy, all over the place game in game two. But FURIA is still in the driver's seat. G2 still trying to get things going. They got 3 shots this game, but they haven't necessarily felt too threatening on offense, considering that they haven't had that much time on the blue half.
0-6 in best of 7s is FURIA. Once they went to game 7, they came oh so close. They have one in 5 games, and well, they more commonly go to 6 before falling short. Trying to exercise their demons here. Double commit from G2 could be costly, but Atomic slowed them down just enough. Everybody able to recover, but here comes Lost. Here comes FURIA. To the backboard JNaps. Yan intercepts on the way out, but Chicago will have Atomic downfield, who got another boost arm. He's got a few that kind of go under the radar here in this series. He'll circle around and clear this one. Outlet towards Chicago, and Yan is right there.
Good control. FURIA still been able to maintain the pace. They're even looking for each other as they try to play the ball around, but G2's been a little bit more reactive. They definitely kind of slowed things down and started taking their control.
Oh, Atomic, just high, and what a save from Lost ranging back. Follow-up from JNaps off target, and Card will at least give Atomic something to think about as he tries to set up Chicago, and JNaps will have to keep this in the zone at the center line, but it's FURIA breaking out again. Yan got a line to shoot through, and Chicago shut it down.
It was interesting. JNaps was on the way back, almost had an initial challenge, lost there, just tried to keep JNaps kind of stuck on top of the Fennec for a little while. Didn't matter. Defense got back on time for G2, but now they need to start kind of turning up the heat. We're approaching the final minute in gameplay. They have increased their shot totals, but it still has not really bared anything to be of concern just yet. Even with that one, Lost there to block out Atomic, and G2 still trying to fight for possession in that midfield.
Not a great pass there, intercepted by Chicago and swatted out by Card. As FURIA try to hold a 1-0 lead, G2 watch the 2-0 lead evaporate right about starting now. Final minute, as Yan will have enough to chase this down. Card underneath him, and maybe they're not on the same page there, but it could still work out for FURIA. Drop down towards Lost. Chicago's got it out. Spacing not great from FURIA. G2 is spaced out, but they're denied yet again, and Atomic has to chase it down with 35 seconds remaining.
Oh, he's getting chased down by Yan. Card's putting a shot on, and FURIA is scoring again. They get all that pressure on the side of G2. They have to turn around, and Yan wastes no time. He went off the ceiling for that challenge.
And Chicago had to be aware of his presence behind him. Might have caused him to react just a split second too late. 33 seconds remain. Jan's got 3 assists on the 4 FURIA goals in this series. And now he's got a good stop in the corner with this 2-goal lead now. G2's got to scramble, lest FURIA tie this series up. Jan further on, and Atomic has to deflect this out, but time running out now for G2 here at Forbidden Temple, and they're gonna run out of time here unless they can score right now, and they will not. Everything's a mess for G2 in this little scramble at the end as FURIA answers back, though they've gotta hang on for 1 more second.
They still got a second. If G2 pull this off, I will be
it recently too. What was it? The draw had happened? Was it Rising Stars? It happened somewhere. 1 second remaining. Just got to get over the ball here and keep it down to the ground. It does go in the air, but towards the G2 half. And can G2 pull off the unthinkable? Jan, drop it down, and FURIA hangs on. A little tense at the end. They made it more interesting than it had to be. But FURIA tie the series.
You're right. Definitely, again, G2 striking in the final seconds. I mean, we've seen that before. And even though it seemed like FURIA, they had 5 demos again, it felt like a lot more. Just very impactful in terms of slowing down G2 offensively, getting them out of the FURIA zone. And then when FURIA was up in front, I mean, they struck with precision. Look at this one again from Lost in the highlights. JNaps is up there. He had the timing. He just couldn't get the touch on the ball. Had the speed, but that's, again, going back to that striking level that we've seen from FURIA. Defense was also good on this particular stop. And then, of course, that last play, just not letting G2 feel comfortable, even on that back half, even on that defensive half. Big key factor here into slowing them down and allowing FURIA to take that game.
Jan is so locked in. I assume he knows that there's a wall there and not another person with a fist there. He just fist pumped the wall. All right. Just reflexes at this point. He's the guy that's got to keep it going now for FURIA. Has not scored in this series, but again, he's been, I think it's clear to say, he's been the MVP for FURIA so far. He's set up everything for them. As Lost, intercepted by Atomic. And down towards the corner, FURIA trying to keep the momentum rolling here, but it's Chicago with Card having to turn around and retreat and then make that stop on him. Atomic now out of the corner, trying to get this over to JNaps, and it's blocked away by Jan. Now downfield, Jan's gonna score just over Chicago, and Jan gets on the board for the first time. Long overdue and well-deserved.
G2 trying to swarm FURIA, but that one gets away from him, and Chicago just barely misses the touch there, sails over his head, and FURIA picking up where they left off, starting goal in Game 3.
FURIA have got through the first couple of games without Jan getting on the scoreboard. Now that he is, G2 has an even tougher task ahead of them. It's already difficult, as Card will have this, and it's Jan to just play it further along. Lost creeping up as well. Lost and Card almost ran into each other, so that will slow them down a little bit, but they keep the ball on the offensive half, at least for the time being. Card now trying to set up Jan. Lost falling in behind him. He'll take over now. Towards the backboard, intercepted again by Chicago. And without Chicago putting, I wouldn't call it necessarily a masterclass just yet, but without his defense, G2's in a world of trouble against FURIA.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to what I was saying in Game 1 before they end up getting scored on. Chicago's awareness in this series has been very good. He's been all over the place, making some really solid touches to keep G2 either in place or to slow down FURIA. And these aren't touches that would necessarily give you a lot of points, but they make a difference between a goal being scored or not. As G2 gets out on the goal line, Lost will clear it away to the side. It was a goal line save under a little bit of pressure, but Lost held firm.
On a weekend where we've seen some uncharacteristically high scores, we've also seen players like Razebull and Chicago put together incredible defensive performances, as Jan will have that taken away by Atomic. JNaps lurking again as Atomic goes all the way across with Lost. G2 trying to put the clamps down here, and Chicago forcing one through that goes wide thanks to the defense of FURIA. Not out of the woods just yet, though, as Atomic and Lost collide. And it's Jan that finally gets that to the G2 back line, but for not very long, because here comes Atomic again. Chicago coming on, and that just bounced a little too high for him, so he's got to be a little more patient.
little bit more control halfway through the game. G2 trying to make the most out of their drives. You can even see that one sent all the way down, pinched across. JNaps wanted to go for it, but he was last back. This one's going to get away, and Atomic has to chase that one on his way back to his own half. G2, though, the counterattack. Oh, if JNaps could have got a piece of it, it would have been phenomenal. They still have more work to do to find out how to get around Furia's defense.
It was almost good enough, too, because Lost was a little confused there on the goal line. We've seen him put in some awkward spots, sitting at the edge of the goal in this game alone. Certainly a couple more times in this series. That deflects out. It'll be chased down by Atomic. Can he get a second touch on it? He avoids contact from Yan. Still across. Here comes JNaps. Oh, great pass! What a play by JNaps and Atomic!
There's the connection. G2 trying to find each other. You get that initial challenge. JNaps says, let me put that back into space. 1-2-1. G2 get their first goal. Tied up, 1:46 to go. It's anybody's game in DFH.
Everybody in the world gearing up for the shot, and instead it's the extra pass as Chicago deflects this away. Back to the backboard. Good win from Furia, but that's all it turns into. No scoring opportunity as it's shut down by G2. Still tied now with 1.5 minutes remaining. Atomic picked his spot, and Lost was there to meet him the whole way.
Hard. Getting a lot of room here on this sidewall. It's going to allow Furia to be able to move up into the space. You can see them. They want G2 to try to play the ball into him. See if they can not let go of this possession. They're holding on to it very well. Trying to see if they can get something going in last minute. Playing it off the corner. Lost does get there first. Looking for that follow-up touch. It's going to be denied here. And Furia have to retreat as G2 are making a push into their space.
Bounced out, but it'll be Atomic. Uncontested to the backboard for the moment. Lost will at least get it out. Played further on, but there's JNaps, who will blink here in Game 3, breaking this 1-1 tie in the game and series. It's Atomic trying to go underneath Lost. Chicago got around Card, but only for a moment. Yan, not on target. He's trying to draw out the defense, and it does not work out this time. So it's Atomic with just under 30 to go. Overtime looming again as it's deflected to the side. Atomic couldn't follow it up. Lost can, and JNaps stops him cold. 15 seconds remain. Chance for Fury to finally break out of the zone. Lost with a quick shot, and Atomic with a good reflex.
Time ticking down, final few seconds. Furia is going to try to want a playlist, but it gets sent to their own zone. Lost is going to pop this up. Yan, good redirect, just barely kisses the ceiling. JNaps sends it across. Atomic, oh, G2 won a piece of this action too. 50 in the midfield. Chicago, he says, no, we're not playing those games. Let's go into overtime. Swing game in Game 3 going the distance.
I'm glad somebody had to be the adult there as this drops right down to JNaps. And almost caught Atomic on his way down. Here's Lost. Winner gets the winner here between Space Station and Optic. Coming up next, an SSG squad that has already punched its ticket to the Boston Major. Optic Gaming trying to get one step closer themselves. Lost downfield. JNaps will have it to his own corner. Try to get away from Yan. Good luck as he goes all the way to the ceiling. Great read. How much will that mean as Yan's got the midfield boost, trying to get a piece of Chicago on the way through. Did not work out. JNaps waiting to see what Chicago's got up his sleeve, and it's nothing there. Now JNaps, Atomic in front, drop down, and Yan's there for the save.
Strong clear out from Lost, and it's just going to be an open net. No one home from G2. Everybody, two people on the back wall. Chicago was on the side boost. The net was wide open. And Lost will send it from one end to the other, giving Furia the lead in this series.
Whoops. Seen a couple of them. It's been a very good defensive series, all things considered. But a couple of mental lapses on either side have canceled each other out. Furia's got a 2-1 dub in Game 3 and a 2-1 lead in this series now. As Lost, I think, has more than made up for the own goal in Game 1. He gets MVP honors with a goal and 5 saves. As we look back at how Game 3 shook out, JNAP's got it tied up, but that's all that happened for G2 as they leave the door open behind them. Now FURIA in the driver's seat here, halfway towards a top 3 finish minimum here in the Spring Invitational.
FURIA now just 2 games away. G2, even though they had a lot of pressure towards the end of that game, and we saw the success of the offensive passing, just not too, it just felt like they overextended. They did overextend. They got punished for it. They've got to be a little bit more efficient on offense. Look at that spacing. FURIA's spacing has been phenomenal this series. And you can kind of tell just from the way, just from looking at Yan as an individual, he's had so much room to work with. It feels like he's breathing almost new life here. I think that's just credit to FURIA and how they've started to adapt over the course of the season. Yan gets a big dunk to set it up. Card trying to finish. Lost does go for this, but he was last back, so someone needs to stop G2 pushing upfield. Oh, Atomic.
They just barely have, with Lost getting the clearance from the backboard. That was a tense moment there for FURIA. They got to feel like they had to come away with a goal from that. They'll be disappointed now as we're still 50 seconds gone by with nothing. It's JNAPS though for Atomic. Chicago avoids contact in midfield. That slowed him down though, and he couldn't dive in for this. So now JNAPS quickly out to Chicago. Instead, it will fall to Atomic. The pass too strong. He retreats, and Lost will take charge instead. Flip reset easily dished out by JNAPS.
The reset, trying to give space, open up the defense. Didn't really do too much. And that clear, Chicago will try to get a piece of it, but he completely misses that one. Will instead just steal the corner boost, maybe look for a bump on his way out. Meanwhile, Lost and Yan are trying to push upfield. FURIA understanding, okay, let's just get this ball to the back wall and then just try to contest more so in the midfield when G2 trying to push into our own half. It was working until JNAP's way. He had a free lane, went for the lower left corner. The shot, if it was just on target, we see G2 in the lead.
Well, JNAP's got to be a little frustrated. Yes, he had that 1 goal back in overtime of game 1, but it really was an own goal. The accuracy hasn't quite been there. He's got 3 into the net so far, but he could have so many more. Atomic gives this one away to Yan. And it's easily set out by Chicago. So back and forth the teams go again. A little ping pong action. It's Atomic threatening. Try to waterfall that down, and Lost was in the way. But this is a free ball for Chicago. JNAP's trying to get in Card's way. He did just enough. JNAP's on the doorstep again, but Yan got a piece of it.
Now, Yan just trying to get back. He ends up bumping Atomic. That's going to create a little bit of separation. Maybe even a play. He's looking for JNAP's, but JNAP's is able to get there and make the save in time. Almost a heads-up play, but now things are going in the other direction. Atomic gets the double. Ooh, Chicago wanted to, but instead, we'll have to let this one go back to FURIA. Another flip reset on the play. And another uncomfortable situation that JNAPS once again has had to make the stop for.
Story for G2 so far in this series has been they haven't done what they've wanted to do. They want to play physically against FURIA, but they've been denied demolitions constantly. Shot here from Lost goes across and just past the outside of the post. And now it's Chicago. Oh, JNAP's got bumped on his way up. So Chicago's got to play this himself. Yan will intercept. It's only Atomic at the back. And he will have this sure-handedly around Card. Lost with an eye on JNAP's going after him. And Card will just send this out to the side. Lost making sure they don't get starved out. JNAP's indirect for Atomic. Back over towards the corner. What else can he do here? Intercepted by Card, and again, FURIA hold the line.
Yeah, they do. G2 still swarming. They're looking for a chance in. Even Atomic thought he could catch out Lost there, just playing a little slower than normal. G2 understand that FURIA pressure. I mean, we saw them have G2 in a very dangerous position. As time's ticking down, G2 is starting to fight for that space more and more. But Yan here on the solo could be dangerous here as well. JNAPS, though, again, another great stop from him. He's had at least 2 in this game alone. Final minute, he may be needed here, but I mean, I feel like they need him most to get going on the offensive front. If he can start getting some shots on, things will look so much better in favor of G2. They've only got 3 shots this game. That one almost went in. It will be a save out. Add 2 more to the tally for G2 in the shooting department, but it's still a 0-0 game.
Chicago will set it up volleyball style for JNAPS to come through. This one's on target with 36 to go.
Asking you shall receive. J-Naps being there. G2 all in on that play just to give J-Naps the lane. His second shot of the game goes in, and G2 now trying to tie up the series. They gotta hold on against FURIA for 35 seconds.
You wonder if win or lose, G2 would even consider using the timeout here. Certainly after a loss they would, but even after a win, this game has been frustrating enough, the series frustrating enough, that maybe they would need the mental reset. Yan, almost uncontested from the back wall. He's still forward and almost got in Chicago's way. But almost is the theme for FURIA. It's just not good enough. Lost now, has Yan, waiting in midfield. Can't play hero though, it could kick out to Card. That's what they're trying to get. 1 second remains and Yan at least got it in the air, but not for long, and G2 tie it up.
Tied up series, G2 fight back in game 4. After it felt like FURIA had that one in some of the offensive possessions we saw. So again, level of control was great. Individual mechanics from FURIA was great. They had 10 shots that game. G2 only had 3 for a majority, and then the last one they took finally ended up helping them score. But my goodness, if FURIA make them work for it there on that defensive end. Talking about defense as well, J-Naps, the guy who scores this goal, had 5 saves. 5 saves, gets 1 out of 2 of his shots. It was so very well done.
Yeah, 5 saves from Lost in the previous game to go with the goal as well. And now J-Naps putting together a very similar scoreline. He's got 4 goals in the series as we go to the Oasis and get ready for this series to slow down to a snail's pace, because you know one team's going to use their timeout after this game, and if it goes to 7, we'll probably get another timeout before that. But let's focus on the present as Atomic goes back, and G2 kind of an unconventional kickoff plan here to start off game 5, and it almost yielded a goal.
Trying to see if they can get that ball at Atomic with full boost, get that offensive control as well. Worked out, but not necessarily, didn't catch FURIA off guard too much. So needs a little bit of work there on the execution, but it's still a great start here for G2 because they're all boosted up and in control. Now it's just, again, this kind of midfield battle where if FURIA have that ability to have the ball and do what they want in the air, they can really break down that defense and make them have to make uncomfortable saves like the one we just saw.
There's a great setup, and Yan couldn't ask for much more there. Lost. Oh, he didn't get the second touch, and that threw off the defense, and Lost will score from the ceiling.
He just needs 1 there. You're right. They all expected the second touch. Chicago, who's had such a read on the speed, the off speed is what threw him off there. Probably saying, hit the ball. FURIA didn't need to. They start things off, and now look at them. They're even leaving the kickoffs as well. Fake kickoff there in favor of Lost. Lost and Card both able to get boosted up, and now FURIA with offensive possession.
Bounce back out as Yan got the boost and ball in the corner, but it's Atomic that came away with it for the moment. Now Card with Yan forward, off the crossbar and away. Lost diving in again. There's nobody back for FURIA. Card has to just play catch up here, and FURIA kind of got away with one, and that would not count on that happening again as quickly as we've seen G2 moving in this series.
I mean, start paying attention to both these teams when they're in the upper third. Look at the resources that they're using. FURIA, this is not the first time they've gone all in on offense, especially so early in the game, even with the lead, as that shot's gonna be blocked out by Atomic. Again, still has the ball. Popped up, everybody from G2 up, but Card cannot really do much with this. Has to play it into the corner, which is gonna buy time for G2 to try to get a little bit more reset here on defense. FURIA have had their opportunities, but G2 trying to build some of their own. It's just really tough to play around FURIA when they have you stuck in your own half.
The shooting was a little more accurate, especially from range. You really cannot afford to have defensive liabilities, as FURIA's had at times. They hold the lead, and that's all that matters, trying to take back the lead in this series as G2 nearly ties it up. Chicago's drive denied by Lost. Now J-Naps lob it back in. Got Yan out of the field, but it's Card throwing it downfield, so the demo's all for naught.
White touch there. Good touch there from J-Naps as well. Has to force someone cleared on the back wall, but no one there to cut that midfield challenge off. So then G2 once again having to start from their own end. They're doing solid defensively. They have to remind themselves they are still down by 1 halfway through this game. Only 2 shots on their side.
Oh, Card jumped there in midfield. That's going to slow him down on his way back. A little indecisiveness almost cost FURIA, but Yan will power it away. Try to chase this down. Atomic sure-handed at the back, and he will bounce this back out towards midfield. It's Chicago. Stopped by Card for the moment, and then JNaps will score. It's another one that goes off a blue card.
Again, JNaps, he does a couple wave dashes to get forward, then just explodes. 40 boost, that's all he needs. Gets a piece of that one, like you said, off the FURIA car. Defense still knew it was going top right, but they just couldn't react in time. JNaps strikes again, G2 tie again.
I think it was off of Lost again. Of course, this one much more of a chance of going in on its own as Card now slowing it down. Lost is there to stop Atomic. Picked his pocket clean and answers back.
Picked his pocket is actually right. Just says, all right, Atomic. He waits, goes on the ground, perfect jump. Says, give me that. G2 defense just not set on that play. They were expecting the 50 to come out of that initial challenge from Atomic. Ball just got a little too much separation between Atomic and the ball, and Lost was able to reap the benefits of it.
Lost and JNaps have been connected a lot in this series as Chicago had his drive denied by Lost. They both officially have 5 goals. This popped up, we'll give it away to Lost by JNaps. And now JNaps trying to break through traffic here, and Yan will slow them down. Even Card turning around, and that's got to be frustrating for G2 as they've got to range back when it really looked like they were 1 touch away from breaking out in formation.
G2, oh man, that's a good kill from JNaps. Seeing just them now, when FURIA in that offensive front, they're looking for demos, they're looking for bumps. FURIA have just been doing a good job of just dodging those, making sure that, you know, they don't take themselves out the play. Anything to slow G2 down has been the prerogative here. Minute to go, and Chicago's even trying to get that redirect. Lost was up, that double is huge, no one home, and he is gonna score that goal. Lost does it all himself to submit this game.
Unassisted, he's got a hat trick. He's got 6 to lead all scorers now in the series, and less than a minute for G2 to scramble and get a pair. We have seen a 2-goal lead dissipate already in this series, and with roughly this amount of time between goals here. So now Card, important to maybe add 1 more just to make sure. Lost has done just that. Lucky number 7. It's a playmaker for Card. The accolades just keep on rolling in, and the hits keep coming.
And he has not missed a shot. 4 shots, 4 goals, 4-1. 40 seconds to go here. If you didn't think the game was cemented beforehand, it surely has to be now. It's been the Lost show here on Deadeye Oasis.
You can already probably hear the timeout being called by G2 as we get down inside 30 seconds now. Again, this is upper bracket, so nobody's eliminated here. Oh my gosh. He actually can do, well, okay, he has done some wrong, but he can't do any more wrong.
Look at that. 50 past 2, get in the weight room. Great challenge. He's got 974 points. This is incredible.
Card's assisted on 4 of them. The only one he didn't have the assist on was the one nobody had an assist on. Now the only question is how many more can he score? He's lurking around here. Yan staying way at the back. Now Card, he's gonna feed Lost, why not? Yan through the center. Lost could score this? No, instead, this will drop down to the ground. G2 will immediately take it. I think they took that timeout during the game. And FURIA is on match point, looking for by far its best finish of the season.
Wow. FURIA at that, I mean, look at that. Look at these stats too as well. I mean, 4 assists on the side of Card. And of course, you saw that individual goal there from Lost. It just feels like you're looking at, I mean, we've seen FURIA all season long, but they look like, I think the FURIA a lot of people expected going in. And G2 on the other side of things have really been struggling to kind of deal with that. Been tough to get out on offense, tough to get consistent pressure on FURIA. And then, of course, on the defensive side, they can only hold on for so long. They've been doing a good job, at least being aware of how things are going on the field. But at some point, that pressure just breaks them. And for G2, this is a big-time timeout. Like you said, series was tied 2-2. They don't get to take it with them. Of course, they got the lower bracket, but figuring out how to stop a FURIA team after a performance like this, they're going to really have their work cut out for them.
FURIA with a 2-match win streak over G2 this season. It was G2 that got one of those best of sevens that FURIA have been unable to close out this season. That ended on this very field coming up, Neo Tokyo, as we look back at the unofficial, official Lost highlight reel. Lost even scored that one technically, and then everything else was just Lost and more Lost and more Lost, and then G2 lost.
And yeah, fist bumping. He's locked in. He's fist bumping the wall. I respect it. Maybe they're all fist bumping the wall. I don't know. Well, one thing I do know is that FURIA have this series on match point. They're looking confident than ever. The question is, can they close it out? Of course, G2 definitely a good team in terms of making those changes that they need to. We've seen them take games in this series. We've seen them even allow low goals here on the side of FURIA. I just feel like, of course, that last game got away from them. If there's any time to gain control of things, it would be right here, right now.
Final few seconds waning away here on this timeout. Neo Tokyo, Game 6, brought to you by Bob's Ramen. About to be underway here. G2 got a win to stay in the upper bracket and force Game 7. FURIA trying to get into the top 3, and it looks like G2 not quite ready to come out of that timeout, and they had some kind of technical issue, so we will step aside, come back to our smiling faces for the moment, and kind of reset everything here. You've got FURIA up 3-2, where again, think about this. You look at North American top 4 finishes in regionals, Daz. You've got Atomic, of course, not with Chicago and JNAPS the whole time, so he's got a few more. He's been in the top 4 20 times. Ooh. Chicago and JNAPS each 15 times. Of course, Card, Lost, and Yan in NA top 4s. As many as me, 0. This is a huge, huge moment for FURIA, not just because of what it means in the standings for them, a chance to get up to 38 points and leapfrog a whole bunch of teams, but just for their confidence having by far their best performance of the season.
Right. I think that's really the biggest thing, you know, just getting these wins is to show people what they can really do and the lengths and bounds this team can go. Starts here with this series, starts here with this game. As we are almost set to go here on game number 6. It'll be up to FURIA to really kind of dictate how things go off this initial jump. Can again keep that momentum going up that they had in game 5.
Final hurdle is the tallest. That's what FURIA has to overcome here. G2 coming off the timeout. We're back underway here at Neo Tokyo, the fresh restart from 5 minutes. Card to the backboard. There's Lost. Oh, he almost did it again.
Oh, it was on target. Card still. Flip reset across to Yan. Yan can find it. Lost the shot. Denied by Atomic. He'll clear things downfield, and G2 will escape when FURIA almost had them in a death grip.
All JNAPS can do here is lob this back towards Card. It's Lost at the back with Yan running forward. Great pass, and the shot well wide.
Oh, the control, Yan! No! Blocked by Atomic! Another clear from him!
Oh, Chicago up to the backboard, though. Here's Card, who's got to have it away, and he does. But a lot of near misses, mostly on the side of FURIA. As JNAPS for himself, shot on, saved away by Lost, and he got a piece of that follow-up as well. As now Card will play this in the general direction of Lost. Why not feed the hot hand? Oh, he must have thought Yan was a lot closer than he was. And then Yan actually had to avoid Chicago trying to T-bone him on the way back. As now Lost will take over again from the side wall. Dances around JNAPS. Got through Chicago. This goes across Lost at least trying to disrupt the defense, and maybe he's done enough, but Chicago will range over and at least be present enough to stop FURIA. Lost denied by JNAPS. Chicago will play it out. Card can't keep it in, and G2 can wipe a lot of sweat off their forehead now as they have escaped harm.
Yeah, for the time being, the first minute's gone by, and the shots were at 5-2. And since then, they've only increased by 1 as G2 stood up for themselves, slowed down FURIA, and now are trying to make some offense of their own. Atomic gonna bring this one all the way across. JNAPS was on the wing, but didn't want to interrupt that play. And Yan, once again, all that control in the midfield. Of course, he's gonna bring it back to that back wall of G2. They just give him the room to do it every time.
Oh, Chicago missed on the backboard, and Card will score. He'd been so great for most of this series, but this is one you cannot afford to miss.
Missed it. The ball goes off the post as well. Lost was there to follow it to make sure it went in. It was going in anyways. And now FURIA has put the clock on G2. 2:40 to go.
Third goal for Card to go with his 6 assists. Granted, 4 of them came last game when he was just beating Lost over and over again. Speak of the devil, here is Lost, slowing down Atomic, but he's able to slip through. Atomic now, oh, denied by Card, and Chicago will try to set up JNAPS, but Lost is in the way. Atomic try again. Nobody else available to follow that up though, and Lost will have it out as far as JNAPS. Chicago going headhunting, Card avoided him, and could not make the save. That interference from JNAPS just enough as Atomic ties the game.
Yeah, I mean, look at Chicago here.
Chicago, yes.
Just trying to get that, making Card awkward. Knew he was gonna have a bad challenge. Atomic has been ready for those moments. Make sure, forces that one through. G2 forced their way back into the game.
Now Atomic trying to create more for G2. Lost, bounced by 1, got a piece of JNAPS, and he'll score again! He is actually unstoppable.
Gets this individually, gets the pop pass, 1, JNAPS, toodaloo! It's in the back of the net, Atomic can't get there in time. And FURIA again increasing the pressure. That time it was Lost. Who will it be next?
9 goals for Lost in this series. What a performance where, again, after the own goal at the end of game 1, a lot of players would have kind of folded. It would have been all chalked. Not for this man. Got it on the wing. Trying to snake it through, but it's going to be Atomic over Card. Stopped by Yan, and Card will turn on this and try to slow down Chicago. He's done just that. Here's Lost. Double tap. Could not put it away.
And now G2 have some room here to work. Chicago trying to lead the charge. JNAP's last back. He's sitting at the midfield line. Atomic is able to get this there, but no one there to follow it up. And now FURIA will have the ball once again. These clears going to kill the clock so much. G2 are only going to get so many opportunities. That was a great redirect from JNAPS to push it to the back wall. If he would have scored that, I don't know. This series would have given us everything. But that one gets through. Is it going to go? No, it's going to bounce down. Yeah, in there to push that into the back of the net. FURIA on the counterattack strikes.
All they could do is just watch helplessly. Atomic doing all he can to get back down to the ground. It was not quick enough. Yan may have just delivered the dagger here with 52 seconds on Neo Tokyo. Have FURIA finally got a top 3? Have they finally won a best of 7 this season? Chicago outlet to JNAPS, intercepted by Card. And if not for him, it could have been a free run the other way. Instead, it's just more bombardment on the G2 half of the field. Lost bringing it back to the side. Second touch will bring it to Atomic. And Yan slowing down Chicago again, down to 25 as G2 watching this series slip away from him. But Atomic, oh, he didn't get a clean touch. That was the opportunity for G2. It's gone by the wayside, and now the victory lap perhaps can begin. One last push now for G2. JNAP's got to bring this down. It's Atomic to Chicago with 4 seconds left.
They strike late. We're not done yet. Don't wrap this one up. They still got a kickoff to go. Everybody getting involved. Chicago gets there. G2, 4 seconds.
We saw FURIA score with 1 and at least give it a run here. Atomic cheating up. Had that swatted right back in his face. This one's gonna die, and so too will G2 in the upper bracket. FURIA finally gets over the hurdle and into the top 3.